back to Freedom Planet. This is part... yeah, you're gonna mobilize indeed. Yeah, this is part 5 of Freedom Planet, which, you know, it seems like it might be the final part because the level literally opened with final dread something, whatever. Yeah, no, I don't think it's the final level, because I just went into the time attack menu, and there's a couple stages after the latest one I've unlocked, which would be this one. So, I have reasons to believe that this is not going to be the final stage of the game. And so, yeah, it really does seem like a final level, doesn't it? It's very climactic, like the lights are just blaring like crazy, the music's all fucking insane, and it has the word final in the title. As we all know from Sonic games, that means it's the final. It's not. At least, I'm assuming it's not. I hope it's not, because this would be a very short series. Not that I'm a stranger to short series. I mean, like, you know, my Sonic Mania playthrough was only, like, what, 4 parts long? Because that game is not very long either. Ah, fuck. Okay, so that's how those damage you. They blink, and then you take damage. What else do we have when it comes to this stage? We got these reticle... Wait a second, what do they do? Can I jump on these? They seem to just be a background detail. I imagine at some point they might try and shoot at you or something. I don't know. We've yet to reach that bit in the level. It might be this level, it might be the next one, where, as I said, they suck the oxygen out, and it's fucking creepy and weird and really cool, and it's actually quite a challenge. Well, I mean, of course, it's not going to be too difficult in my case, although actually, you could still totally die. I mean, as I said, your health only regenerates at such a... it doesn't regenerate at, like, the fastest rate in the world, so you could totally die still. You know, you have to be careful. I like that. It's the kind of assistance where... Oh, that's the main evil guy. You can tell he's the main evil guy because he looks like a main evil guy. That's not a reticle, I just realized. It's just a split point. It basically just... Yeah, that's what happens. It causes a change in the direction in which you move. Get the fuck out. I do not want to... Okay, I guess I have to take these guys out before I can progress. I'm assuming this seems like a very typical kill all the enemies before you can progress type section in a level. Come on, there you go. Take them all out using your dragon attack. Fuck, I really hate when games allow enemies to gang up on you in this way. It's not a big deal for me right now, but I imagine on normal mode, this section would be a lives drainer. I mean, because they just gang up on you, and you have to use your double jump to avoid them, but you can't use your double jump because you gotta save up your energy for your attack, right? Unless you just attack them normally, which usually results in you getting surrounded. So it really is kind of a catch-22. Except that I still have no idea what Catch-22 is actually supposed to refer to. I guess it's like a situation where the optimal outcome is extremely difficult to achieve. Although you can still totally kill these guys. And what are these like little winged dudes, these eyeballs that pop out of them whenever you kill them? Is there any significance to that, or is it just a video gamey way of saying, hey, you killed the guy, good job? You know, like how in Serious Sam, the enemies sort of turn into like these particles, except that only in the original. Where do I go now? I'm assuming I have to wait a little bit. And then go up like, yep, I knew it, of course. I wonder if there's any sort of reward for going the other direction here. Like if I go like this, bounce, 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 pad, bounce pad, bounce pad, yeah. There's some goodies and a shield. Nice, let's use that. That's gonna come in handy. Man, the voice acting. I'm still, you know, it's weird. Even though voice acting has been around in video games for longer than I've been alive, I still feel kind of weird about voice acting in certain games. I've already talked about the voice acting in this game to hell and back, but I want to talk about it in general in gaming as a whole. Like, basically, it's the kind of thing where it can simultaneously add immersion and take away immersion. There it is. This is the section, I think. So you don't want to get sucked out. Very Flying Battery-esque. But it's what I mean by voice acting taking away immersion and adding it is, on one hand, like, yeah, you feel like these are real characters because they speak just like a real person, but at the same time, by having them speak, it makes the game a little bit too grounded in what we... God damn it. And what we think of as, like, what is normal, if that makes sense. It's kind of like how some people, you know, love listening to music in a foreign language, or intentionally listening to music where the lyrics have been, like, modified to the point where it doesn't even sound like language, because it kind of helps make it ethereal, if that makes sense. Make it feel not real, which makes it cooler, if that makes sense. It makes it unreal. So I've always felt that not having the character speak in games like these can add, like, a layer of... not imagination necessarily, but I don't know, it helps you relate more to the character, I guess. which is interesting because I don't really care for Link as a protagonist. To be fair, he's not. Okay, Link is not a fucking silent protagonist. I mean, like, he doesn't speak, but he's anything but silent, you know what I mean? That dude fucking yells more than most voice protagonists, right? He constantly makes some kind of sound, so I've never considered Link a silent protagonist because he just makes way too much noise to be silent. You get what I mean? Like, a truly silent protagonist is like that, like, they just shut the fuck up and never make a noise, right? Whereas, yeah, these characters are definitely not silent whatsoever, and that's fine. It's just, again, the presentation kind of, and I feel like I need to elaborate a little bit what I said in part 1, I think it was, even though I added a little annotation in the edit, not like a YouTube annotation because those are gone. Remember annotations? Like, they were actually a thing in YouTube, like you click on them and stuff. Yeah, the removal of annotations has really made a lot of older YouTube videos age super badly because they're, you know, they would say, oh, I'm going to add an annotation, but then it doesn't show up because they don't exist anymore. No, what I mean is I just added a little bit of text. But so, what was I talking about when it came to the voice acting in this game? It was the fact that not that there's no text box, because there is that there's no character portrait. Like, seeing the actual sprites themselves produce the sound, and sometimes even have lip syncing, that's the bit that weirds me out. That's my problem with it. I don't mind it when it's a 3D model for some reason, but when it's a character sprite like this, it doesn't feel right. So, yeah, that's my reasoning for basically not including the cutscenes in this playthrough, but I feel like this game doesn't need them. Like, it's too good. This game's too good for cutscenes. Oftentimes, games use cutscenes as, like, leverage. This game doesn't need them. It's actually a really fun game that conveys, like, it does a good job of, like, setting up, you know, bad guys, good guys, generally what you're doing. Even without the cutscenes, it's just like, yeah, I'm trying to stop him from doing evil things because clearly he's not a good person, just by the way he acts and the things that he's doing. And, you know, we saw a couple things get stolen. It's like, oh, we gotta bring those back, you know? Stuff like that. It's very obvious. A lot of clever visual storytelling, which doesn't even need explanation, right? And the character interactions aren't really that, like, charming, if you ask me. Although some games are definitely made by that. Like, for example, I recently played the PS1 version of the Spider-Man game released in 2000. And the game's, you know, it's decent for a superhero game. But its best asset is the voice acting. It's actually really great. Like, the writing is really funny and really charming, and it's genuinely good. That's the crazy thing. It's not like, late 90s, early 2000s, shitty quality. No, it's actually well done. It's well recorded, well directed, well edited. It's good. You know, the game gains a lot from that, and I can't really imagine playing the N64 version. Yeah, it's got the slightly better technical polish because the N64 was the more powerful system, true. But when it's missing so much of that content because it's on a cartridge, yeah, I can't really imagine playing through the game that way. I would much rather play the slightly, or you could just play the Dreamcast version, to be fair. The Dreamcast was kind of like the killer system for the time, you know. Although there was no PS2 release, despite the game coming out after the PS2 already being a thing. Anyway, I think this might be the level where that thing that I've been teasing for most of the series finally happens. It's a really great set piece, and it stuck with me. It's like one of the few bits that genuinely remained in memory after putting the game down, because I can't say I remembered most, like, a lot of this game as I'm playing it right now is quite fresh to me, because I can't remember most of it. Not to say it's forgettable, that's an insult. No, it's not forgettable. It's just I don't happen to remember that much of it. Which I guess sounds like it's forgettable, but it's not, okay? Well, when you say a game's forgettable, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll forget it easily. It's more so the fact that it doesn't do anything interesting. This game does a lot of really cool things. It's just only one of them stuck with me in particular. And I still can't get over the fact that Lilac jumps, like, normally, like that, instead of a spin ball, despite the fact that I've been playing this game for apparently like 5 or so hours. It might not seem like that much in the actual videos, but still. That's what the timer says on however you view your save file. Either way, these sunflowers look very Mega Man-esque. In fact, you know, I just love how everything in this game has a very glossy sort of finish to it. You know, I mean, I've talked about the visuals at length when it comes to this game, and that's because they're just really shiny and really nice, and I enjoy that. Come on, let's try and get this right. Fuck, there's this indent. This slight wedge on the, there you go, finally, on one of the surfaces on the ceiling of this level, and that's what makes it really difficult to make that jump. And why am I, oh, hi, why am I suddenly getting Mystic Cave vibes from Sonic 2? I don't know why, just really random, but for some reason I feel like I'm in Mystic Cave, but all like bad future, you know, all mechanical. Oh man, you know, I'm surprised more games haven't done the whole Sonic CD thing. I know there's Sonic Time Twisted, but even more than that, come on, like, it's such an interesting concept to travel between periods. And you know what? Actually, Serious Sam Free was supposed to do that. Yeah, check out Frame Raider's video. I believe it was his super long feature video on Serious Sam Free. That game was supposed to have time travel, but they scrapped it due to, I guess, time or technical constraints. Some technical constraints. It was a PC game in 2011. Like, come on, at that point, PCs could do basically anything. And they can still do basically anything. So there's, don't give me that shit. Oh, we couldn't do it because we don't have enough horsepower. Bruh, at that point, it was standard for PCs to have 8 gigs of RAM. Like, do you really need that much more? You know, the fucking Sonic CD did that with like a kilobyte. To be fair, Sonic CD is also a 2D platformer, whereas Serious Sam Free is a, I wouldn't call it like a big budget shooter, but it is a shooter with a budget of some kind, so clearly it's not quite as low spec, if that makes sense. Remember Wacky Modder 84's low spec PC game series? Wow, you know, I sincerely hope that everyone who genuinely found use in that series no longer needs it. You know, I remember when I was a kid, though, I genuinely did, like, take a lot of his recommendations seriously because, I had a pretty shit PC, you know? So, maybe a little teeny smidge better than what he was talking about, because he was describing, like, a real, like, barely can run any games kind of thing. No, it wasn't quite that bad, but still. Although, unfortunately, a lot of the options were already exhausted. He was just recommending games that I've already played, and some games that I just don't want to play. He also recommended, like, this really weird, I think it was him that recommended it. This really strange Doom WAD, which was, like, My Little Pony based for some reason, where I think, like, it's based on, I think, the Cupcakes creepypasta. God, remember the creepypasta days? Well, technically, creepypastas are still made, but I don't think they're called that anymore. Iceberg entries, whatever you want to call them, but yeah, it was based on that, and it was really weird. It's like you got beat to shit by Pinky or some shit, and you had to not die. Doom, basically, right? And yeah, it's kind of crazy how much of a crossover there is sometimes between those two fandoms, but I tend not to think about that because I get icked out and weirded out when that kind of stuff. There's the bit. Look, now I'm drowning. It's like a water section, except it's not a water section, which means that basically you're on a time limit now. Now, fortunately, it's not too difficult. You know, the game gives you plenty of... Yeah, there you go. It gives you these little air bubbles that are conveniently placed in areas where... I don't know how that works, but I'm not going to question the physics of it. I'm literally playing as a purple dragon that just looks exactly like a typical high school girl from, like, you know, an anime or something. So it's like, you know... Let's not question this. Let's just go and get our air. Fortunately, it instantly fills up, right? Without even... You know, it kind of reminds me of this one level from Bomberman Hero, come to think of it. Dude, is my commentary a little too erratic? Because I'm always a little self-conscious about not speaking enough in these playthroughs, so I just kind of fire out a bunch of, like, 1,000,000 words per second. Then I realize, like, maybe that's not the best approach. Yeah, let's try and slow it down a little bit just for the sake of enunciation. Just sound a little bit clearer, you know what I mean? I say that as I just keep going, but that's because I'm excited. This game is really cool, and I haven't played it in so long. I mean, yeah, no, it's been almost a year, because last time I played it was around the time I started Vivid Noise, because again, the Vivid Noise theme song was heavily inspired by the music in this game, funnily enough, even though I said it wasn't all that memorable, but... No, in particular, this game had, like, the invincibility theme, basically. And that's why I wrote it. I already talked about this, I think, in part 1 or 2. Oh, shit. Come on, get up there. Thank you. Okay, let's find some air, find some air, find some air. I'm dying. Oh, no. You. Fuck. Okay. Oh. Ah, it's like the bubble shield from Sonic. So as long as I don't get hit too many times, I'll be able to stay alive, which is generally... You know, wait, that's literally a gimmick taken from Sonic Colors, I just realized. The one I just interacted with. With the platform with the 2 switches that go up. Yeah, that was Sonic Colors. But you know what? That's okay. Yeah, look. Doom, 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 doom. I'm just hearing the fucking bass line from Sweet Mountain. That was a really cool stage. You know, Sonic Colors had such creative level motifs. I think to this day, it's still the most visually creative Sonic game. Honestly. Even Frontiers, it's got some really cool locations, but I can't say they're all that original. They're mostly just big open areas with like a desert motif, a foresty motif, rocks. It's cool, I like Frontiers a lot. I kind of wish it didn't just do the whole, you know, Green Hill, Sky Sanctuary, you know, like the Generations thing, even though I understand why. You know, it's so easy to reuse the assets. I don't want to be surprised if... And I wouldn't be surprised if for, hold on, is there any more I gotta shut up for, or can I just keep talking? Alright. I wouldn't be surprised if for Shadow Generations, not a single asset from Forces and Frontiers was touched in any way when building the stages for that game, right? Like Chaos Island and Sunset Heights, because, I mean, do they have to? They're both part of the same generation, really. I mean, there's debate whether or not Forces is an 8th or 7th or a 9th gen game because it came out for Switch, but it was also on PS. It's because, damn it, Nintendo keeps throwing wrenches in the works, right? They keep releasing their systems either too soon or too late. You know what I mean? Like, for example, the N64, in my head, it came out too late to truly be a 5th gen system. It's not really that similar to the PS1 or Saturn, right? But it came out too early to be a 6th gen system, absolutely. And then there's the Wii, which is technically a 7th gen system, except it's like way weaker. And then there's the Wii U, which came out before all the 8th gen systems, but is also not as powerful. And then there's the Switch, which came out way before the 9th gen systems, right? Several years. And yeah, we kind of consider it one anyway. I don't know. That boss was not all that difficult. Like, even with casual mode, keeping that in mind, it still wasn't too hard to dodge the attacks. So, is this going to be the end of the part? Is this a fake out? Or no, I think I'm going to see you guys in, I think part 6 of Freedom Planet. See you guys then.